Hello and welcome to Hellbent Holler Live. Oh, we have our name double time on there. Let's get that off of there. Let us know you can see us and hear us.
Because I didn't test the audio before we started.
Yeah, let's do that. Look at that. That's money, baby. We got powered by StreamYard on there. What is happening? This is all a mess. This is all a mess.
Amateur. You were giving me hell for not having the damn audio like set.
You know what?
What is it?
We might be. There we go.
There we are. Good God.
Good gosh.
Is anybody still on here? They've all tuned out.
It's all a mess.
Anyway.
All right. What are we doing? We got so many graphics. There's just so many graphics to see. All right. Must have updated. Who knows? I do like that the comments are like that, though. That looks pretty dope.
Well, the comments like huge, though.
It is huge. That's all right.
It's all messed up. It's all
That's just so we can see it in our old age.
In our old age.
Welcome to Hellbent Holler Live. My name is Jesse. This is my old man, Joe. Joe had a birthday on Sunday of last week.
Yes.
You know, we talked about that last week, but we're cranking along here. This is our weekly show we do every Monday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. A lot of time it's pretty free form. We discuss these topics with the audience and kind of go over everything kind of high strangeness, ghouls, ghosts, goblins, gobstoppers. From time.
Isn't that a candy? Gobstopper?
Everlasting gobstoppers. Goonin. Talk goonin from time to time as well. But just want to welcome you all if you've never been on here before. We do interact with the chat throughout. Yeah, that's the 411, the missing 411, but we found it. We released a video on Tuesday. It's the second installment from our new research area dubbed Blackthorn Lake. That's not the actual name of the area. And as I mentioned in the video that we released on Tuesday, we're not telling you what the name of the area is because we are trying to keep that a secret. Because people have been trying to confront us in our research areas, and B, because we want to kind of keep the integrity of these investigations. So going forward, that area is to be referred to as Blackthorn Lake. And we have a whole series on Blackthorn Lake coming out. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. Like I said, Tuesday, we released the video. That is the second installment from that series. And at the end of that video, I teased what is to come in the next video that should be coming out next week. The crazy vocalizations that we have captured there. And that is the first set of vocalizations that we actually capture on audio in Blackthorn Lake, but it won't be the last.
Blackthorn is bizarre. And, you know, to kind of reinforce what Jesse said, we don't publicly share these areas. Now, we're like at the LBL or something like that, you'll obviously know where it's at. But these other places, it's just not. There's no upside to it. There's just no upside to it. And especially nowadays, you never know what's going to like kind of just catch the public attention. We've mentioned in the past, there was that guy in South Carolina that had that Bigfoot sighting at the end of 2024, and he reported it, and it just kind of spread, and like a bunch of people like showed up there while people were trying to hunt, and it was kind of a bad, crazy, dangerous situation a lot of times.
And as a result of that, people in that area are not going to be reporting any kind of Bigfoot sighting publicly to anyone for many years to come. Especially someone who is a hunter or a fisherman in that area. They are not going to talk about it.
So
because their woods got overrun with researchers.
We keep it quiet. And somebody got all pissy going, you know.
Someone got pissy in the
on
Bigfoot
the internet.
world?
Heaven forbid, a lot of that going on right now. But they were kind of pissy because we weren't sharing it. And I'm just like going, dude, you can do the same research that we can to figure out these areas that might be potential hotspots and go out yourself. You know what I'm saying? You don't need us to hold your hand there. Okie, thank you for that, my friend. And then Curtis Whitaker.
Curtis, don't hurt us.
Curtis, don't hurt us.
You know what I need? I need a Curtis, don't hurt us graphic that pops up every week.
Steal from Joe and Robin. Plagiarism. I'm down for it.
Do they have a Curtis, don't hurt us?
No, well, they have the little things that show up. But I'm all for intellectual property theft at this point. So
It's all off the table.
It's all on the table. So, Curtis, thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
that.
Curtis.
April,
Curtis,
thank
you've
you.
inspired us to commit property theft. Thank
Curtis,
you very
thank
much.
you for that. Thank you for conspiring us to. Here we go.
It's all in a day's work.
All right.
Oh, goodness.
But yes, we released that video, so you got to see a little bit more of Blackthorn, and that's kind of we weren't really going to. The last two videos, we had to kind of like give you some build up so that you understood the area and you kind of like joined us on the journey of as we started to find out about the area, finding the old plantations, finding this weird boat ramp and a possible campground that looks like it was started and then just stopped for some reason. You needed to kind of have that backstory so that when the wild stuff started to kick in, you have context for it. And now the wild stuff's kicking in and it gets pretty effing wild out there. So much so, our last little foray into Curtis, I want to thank you again for that, by the way. Curtis up in the game.
Cryptid Castleberry has a fantastic...
Kim Drescher, greetings
Kim
and
Drescher.
birthday. Kim D in the house, holding down the ramparts. So, what you got?
Cryptid Castleberry. Alan Castleberry has a good insult here. He says, too many tit turds out there to give out actual locations.
We were talking on... I made a mistake this week of trying to make a comment in the Dogman Reddit subreddit group, and I was like bemoaning that on Facebook, going, "What is my problem? This is a me problem. Why did I think that I could join a conversation on Reddit and not have it go well?" And somebody was talking on there, and I'm not going to share the name, but was talking on there about how they went out and met a possible Dogman witness that they met off Reddit, and it was basically somebody having like auditory hallucinations and how crazy it was. So. There's some weird people in pretty much every field out there. Our field attracts a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yes, we're all a little weird.
I do, and you have to have some pity on some people who really want to do this kind of work and they can't find somebody else to do it with them. I know that a lot of people that do this cannot find somebody to go out with them. And that's the thing is You don't want to go out by yourself. This can get really dangerous. But a lot of times in our day-to-day lives, I mean, we don't really know a lot of other people other than the people we've met through doing this that are interested in these topics. We kind of have an advantage because we're a married couple that go out together and are interested in this and have pretty much dedicated our lives to the pursuit of this. So we do have an advantage there on that. And I do appreciate that. I appreciate that about you.
I appreciate that about you
that
as well.
We work as a team. And I got to hand it to people that will, you want to go out there and you want to do this. And you're even brave enough to go out with some dude from Reddit.
Yeah, man.
So
I think it'll just have to stay a mystery at that point.
I'm hoping that through the culture that we build and the community that we build through Hellbent Holler, that some of you can actually make connections with other people that are interested in this, that perhaps are in your area. I know that on our members Discord, a lot of people have discovered that they actually are not that far from each other. So, if you are a member, make sure you join up with the Discord. You can maybe find your next research partner out there that's actually vetted and not a total crazy person.
Yeah, not a total crazy person. Now watch, we're going to have something crazy happen off that. Sun Squatch.
Not responsible for meetups.
Oh, absolutely not responsible.
Facilitated through the Discord.
Sun Squatch. Fight them on Reddit so you don't have to fight them out there. Sun Squatch will be chiming in with some little tidbits and wisdom tonight.
Sun Squatch says, taste these hairy hands.
So, Sheila P., thank you so much for that.
Oh, Sheila.
Sheila. Thank you. And then Zach, speaking of LBL, went camping there a few weeks ago. Definitely some surreal experiences and pictures. It is. LBL's very nuanced and it's subtle and it's more complex than what a lot of people would lead you to believe. And I think you probably experienced that. There are not, there's recreation that goes on out there. There's 1 million people that go to the LBL every year. And what percentage of them experience weird stuff? I don't know. There's a lot. And there is an even greater percentage of people who are not in the campgrounds or the horse park or places like that at night that are just out there that experience weird stuff. And just because some of the more, crazy claims may not be true, doesn't mean that that's not a weird spot with weird activity. possible Dogman activity, paranormal activity, UFOs, Bigfoot, the whole enchilada. So,
Joe and I were talking that, we stepped away from the LBL. We still get asked about it a lot because we did do a lot of work there. We put in a lot of hours, a lot of hardcore, serious, legit journalism and research on the area, and uncovered a lot of things.
We did more than sit around and like exchange the same stories that have been told.
We dug into the area physically, and then also, we did the research on the area, and we uncovered a lot of things that had never been discussed in the many, many years of this being a topic within the cryptosphere. We have talked about this, and I think what we're going to do, we've talked here and there on this show on various interviews. We actually did an interview recently with Bigfoot Michigan Rob, and we discussed the LBL at length, and we talked about a lot of these things that we kind of mentioned here, and we gave a more complete story about things that we've discovered through our process of looking into the LBL on that interview. If you want to go check that out, that's Bigfoot Michigan Rob's channel. It was within the past 3-4 weeks we did that.
Time has no meaning at this point.
Time is a flat circle. So if you want to check that out, that's a good conversation that we have with Rob and Krista, and we kind of go over this stuff. But I think that sort of inspired us to give you guys the whole story. All of the things that we've discovered. We've kind of mentioned a few of these things here and there, whether it be our logic and all of our evidence that proves that the alleged massacre site was not what people say it is, and that massacre did not occur there, or at least it didn't occur in the way that it was described in a lot of these.
Well, I'll tell you this, that the reason why I think, so what we're basically talking about is expect a larger, more complete story to come from us as far as like the LBL and our thoughts on it. So like it might be like a full-length documentary type thing.
I think that's what we kind of rolled around.
What happens is that, and in the end of the day, it's kind of doing the LBL a favor, because that 82 massacre story has got a lot of holes in it. And then people throw the baby out with the bathwater with it.
And instantly dismiss the entire area
Yeah.
without setting foot on there at all or doing any real research into the area. They just hear this fantastical story about the massacre in 82. And then all of a sudden, everything is BS from that point forward.
And there might have been something that happened in 82. Matter of fact, we're
pretty sure there was.
Pretty sure there was something crazy that happened in 82. But putting your most notable tale forward that is very easily disproven just does the entire LBL, the entire Dogman phenomenon, a very big disservice. So look for that. We might actually have that coming out. Not anytime soon, but towards the end of the year.
That's something we decided we would work on. Right now, we're working on a really big documentary project that we are really cranking through right now. So that'll be something we line up after we get done with this project. But I think it's going to be basically LBL, the definitive truth up to this point, I guess, is what it's going to be.
Yeah, because stuff keeps coming up. But anyway, enough about the LBL. More back to Blackthorn, which is in a way at this point, and I think you guys will agree, this is not an exaggeration, but you're going to see that Blackthorn, like, there's a reason why we've been so obsessive about it. We've been so obsessive about it, and normally we would have pulled off from there and gone somewhere else at this point, because there's so many like secondary dangers there. Open wells everywhere, barbed wire, what looks like something booby trap in the forest with broken glass and metal, and just it's not a very comfortable or safe place to investigate, even if nothing weird happens. But weird stuff's happening, and the area itself is such a freaking mystery. We will literally go, hey, this week let's go somewhere else and break up the monotony, and then all of a sudden we're like, we got to go back into Blackthorn. So much so that we're going to try to go do a night investigation there this Saturday. And we were purposely going out after dark because we've been doing a lot of daytime investigations there. Generally, we're known for our night stuff, moving through the terrain at night and basically doing really awesome night investigations. Well, there we've had to kind of hold off on that to a certain extent, or to the extent that we normally do, because of all the stuff we talked about, the barbed wire and the wells being a big one. I mean, been walking before and all of a sudden had to jump back because we feel the ground kind of being soft and we realize it's an old well that's covered in wood.
And absolutely nothing is marked out there. Nothing is mapped out.
It's crazy.
The maps that do exist are few and far between and completely inaccurate. So everything we know about the area is what we have personally mapped out at this point. And the wells are a serious, serious concern because they are open wells. This was an area where there were multiple homestead sites. There were also multiple plantations, as we've discovered.
Mhm.
So there is a serious amount of danger, and that and the barbed wire that is everywhere, the broken glass, the twisted metal, and then we have whatever else is out there with us that we are also contending with. Carry on.
So we have a good enough grip on this one particular area. We think we have most of the hazards in this relatively small little sliver of the Blackthorn area pretty well mapped out. We pretty much know where they're at. So, and we've been mapping them out personally. A lot of people were like, "Oh, use the flags, Joe." And I threw the flag last week. I don't even have a damn flag with me. But we're worried that whatever is out there messing with the environment, putting rocks and pieces of glass and metal and
Bones.
moving them around could possibly move the flags. So then we would get a false sense of security, and we can't really trust that.
But who touches another man's flag is what I want to know.
It's fighting words where I come from, man. But we were going out to do a night investigation. We were purposely going out and get there after dark because a lot of times we think that ramped up kind of emotional quality is sometimes very important in experiencing like a high level of activity.
Going in there sort of at a heightened emotional state, there's a layer of confusion. There's definitely a layer of fear because you're not out there, you're not acquainted with it at that point. When we've been out there throughout the day, we've gotten there early in the day, we've hiked around the entire area all day, we've been settled in through the dusk and through it getting into night. You are more acquainted with the area, with what's going on in it at that time. When we go out there past dark, late at night, we're talking 12, 1, 2 a.m., 3 a.m. We go out at that point, sight unseen during the day, and we are in a heightened state of awareness, fear, emotion, and sometimes that yields significant results in what we do. However, we could not press forward with what was occurring this past time we were out there.
And it's different to be out in the woods like all day long, and then you're there and you're in the woods and the sun sets around you and you're gearing up for night and everything. It's another thing to show up at a location, sun's already set, it's black as hell out there, it's dark. You gear up at the vehicle and then you just proceed in. Well, we do that all the time. We do that all the time, man. I mean, all the time for years now. We are in the woods at night, just the two of us. And we go out to Blackthorn, and what the flock had asked, can't you just mark the danger zones in GPS? That's what we've been doing. But you've got to identify them to mark first. And it's been much more complex out there than what we originally anticipated. There was a lot more infrastructure there than what we were led to believe by the little bit of research we could do in the area. So we've had to get to the point where we feel comfortable, where we know at least enough that, you know, our odds are pretty good that we can move through the woods at night without a lot of illumination and we won't get hurt or worse. So we like we went out there Saturday and we were rearing to go because it was weird because we were like, we kept going. All right, we can't go out. We can't go out during the daytime. We've got to get there. We've got to arrive on scene after dark and then go into the woods on foot after dark. We don't want to be there during daytime at all. So it was a little frustrating to kind of like hold it back. You know, we drove most of the way there, you know, we're kind of like lollygagging around. And then the sun sets, we go in there and there was such a feeling of like impending doom and physical threat that we were both just going, and we were both really quiet and not really saying anything because you have to watch out because you don't want to plant the seed in somebody else's head. You have to walk kind of a fine line between trusting your gut, but also not feeding into that
not
fear.
feeding
into each other.
I think the way you described it when we began this discussion, we were actually kind of feeling each other out about you don't want to plant that seed into your partner's head of like, oh, I have this really bad feeling. They'll be like, yeah, now I do too. You don't want to hit that. So Joe and I are kind of feeling each other out on how are you feeling about this right now and what's going on. I think he described it pretty accurately as it feels like we are on a collision course with something evil.
Yeah. Zach had said, long story short, when investigating at an LBL cemetery at night and found the same footprints outside of my tent 5 miles away the next morning. Interesting. I wonder if you were on the north or the south side there, Zach. But so we were going in, and there is a series of, once you get off pavement, there is a few gravel roads, and then you get on dirt roads going back in. Some of these have not seen maintenance in I don't know how long. It was oppressive. It was like suffocating going back in there. It was like literally, it felt like you were driving into like a storm, or I can't describe it. At one point I'm driving and I realized I had my hand up like this, like you could just feel like a pressure in the air or something like that, man. It was absolutely freaking bizarre. And like Jesse said, I just went, we're on a collision course with something right now. And I don't know what. And she's like, does it seem like people to you? And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that like Bigfoot is lying out here and wait for us. But I said, it just feels like we're on a collision course with something. We're getting ready to run into something here. We're getting ready to run into something that we have not experienced out here yet, and that we might not be equipped to handle right now at this moment. And and we even went, well, let's not go to the area we were talking about going, which is where we need to go to, because we've got that area mapped out. Let's go check out another section real quick. See if we feel that way out there. And we didn't feel that way out there at all. It was just in the section we were going to, that we had been looking forward to going to all day long. And the anticipation of getting out there was driving us crazy. But then driving in, like I said, every mile we went, it just got more heavier and heavier and heavier. And then we got to the point where Jesse's like, I was like, I don't think we should do this tonight. I don't know why, I don't know why, but I'm just telling you right now, I feel that if we go, and I'm not being exaggeration, we should have recorded this probably when we were driving. Not that it really adds any credence to it, but I was just going, I don't think right now that it's a good idea for us to go out there. And I just said, I think that if we do go, we may be getting into something that we were not expecting, because we were going out again very happy. We wanted to hear some vocalizations. We wanted to it literally was to the point where you could just feel it like on your skin, your hair standing up and everything. And Jesse's like, well, at least drive down to the end of this old dirt road where we usually park at. And I didn't even make it that far. Yeah. I literally finally just went, no, I'm turning around here. And she's like, you don't want to drive down in there? And I'm like, no, I don't. I absolutely don't. We turned around, and as we left, you could feel it on the back of your neck. And it slowly got like dissipated and got weaker. But you just felt, and I just got out of there and I just looked at her and I was like, it's the best decision we ever made. Best decision we ever made. I don't know what was in there. Maybe it was people. Maybe we were jiving in on, there were a group of bad people out in the woods tonight. And that weird sixth sense was kind of keying into that. Maybe there was something else going on. But I can just tell you right now, I have not felt that apprehensive or that level of threat ever in the woods at this point. We're just going in before anything happened, man, before anything happened. And it was just so bizarre. It was so bizarre.
And I think you discussed, you sort of get this sense of hyper awareness that kicks in, that the light hits the leaves a certain way.
Joe, Nutslap said Joe got bit by the woo-boat. It's not even that. I've always had my entire life a pretty good sense of like basically when crap's getting ready to go down. You know what I'm saying? Like when danger's getting ready to like pop out. But I'm not very insightful into a lot of the paranormal stuff. But I could feel that night, and Jesse could feel it. And it was just like there's a looming physical threat, and not even like a spiritual threat or anything like that. There is a looming physical danger that we are driving into right now. We are literally getting ready to we're on a rendezvous with something, and it ain't good.
And you know, normally with kind of what we do, you'd kind of want to be like, okay, I can do, like the way I am, I'm very headstrong. I don't know if you don't know that about me, but you know, and normally I'd be like, let's do it. I don't care. Charge forward, go in here. But for him to be so apprehensive and so nervous about this, and for me to have that feeling at the exact same time, there's just no room for Billy Badass at this point. You know?
No, and it was weird. And I was even going, I had my chest rig on. I unzipped my chest rig a little bit while we were driving still, checking to make sure the doors are locked. And I'm just going, and I still don't know what it was. You know what I'm saying? I can't tell you what it was, but it got stronger the deeper we got in there. And as we left, you felt it disappearing behind you. And when you went to another part of the greater forested area out there, you didn't feel it. But when you got back into the area that we had to go to, it's where we've got mapped out. And what's weird is that I'm not saying, because we talk about it all the time, how we talked about it earlier, you know, people find out where you're at, they go to hassle you. Nobody knows where this is that follows our channel for a reason. And even then, they wouldn't expect us to show up in the middle of the night like this. I don't think it was, I don't know. It wasn't like there were people out there waiting for Joe and Jesse to show up to do us harm. Maybe there were bad people out there just doing other stuff.
And I think this definitely feeds into what we're discussing tonight, that the first step in defense is prevention and what's happening. To know to trust those feelings. I know that a lot of you are also saying trust your gut, trust your intuition. And the first line of defense is prevention. That go into these situations. If you want to do this kind of work, go into the situations, but definitely have that hyper awareness about you. Be aware of what you're going into. And when your body sends you those signals, you listen to them, correct?
Yeah. And normally, like Jesse said, sometimes we're a little too pig-headed. Sometimes we will go, screw this, nothing's chasing us out of these woods.
W. Leonard Athos, this is a good point. I had 43 years in law enforcement field, state and federal, and that sixth sense saved my butt on more than a few occasions. There's definitely something to be said for that sixth sense, that feeling that you get out of nowhere, and that intuition. Dare you say that psychic ability that you know something is going to happen if you proceed forward.
Oh, Dewey Edwards from the Dewey Edwards Institute is here tonight. Good to see you, Dewey. Anyway.
What's up, dude?
Hopefully you saw my message on Facebook that I left that little comment, buddy. I got to get in touch with you. We have been burning the candle at both ends.
Dewey has another book coming out. Did you know this?
I did not know that until I saw it. I went to check Dewey's Facebook page because I had not talked to Dewey in so long. And I saw that Dewey, in the 2 weeks since I've talked to him, has somehow managed to cobble another book together.
Don't worry. He'll have another one in 2 weeks as well.
I'm sure, man.
You've got to catch up on.
Dewey Edwards is bringing another book out. Another one, which I think this is the 100th book or something at this point.
Yeah, he's probably the most prolific writer in the paranormal space.
But
I would say
my point was this: is that we go out armed. Quite honestly, go out pretty heavily armed when you get right down to it. I kept when I was driving into Blackthorn. So I've got my 10 millimeter on my chest, loaded with grizzly bear ammunition, hard cast ammunition that people use to take down large grizzlies.
Some of which blessed by a priest.
Some of which has been blessed by a priest.
So you're on two fronts here.
And I just kept going, man, I wish I had a bigger gun, you know. Man, I wish I had something else with it going out here. And
that is never a position that you want to be in, because at the end of the day, you want to be able to go out there and continue to do this work. You don't want to be your last excursion out there. You've got too much work to do, you know. Although if we do get eaten, I just hope that whatever eats us, you guys dig through the scat piles and find the SD card.
Our boy Marcus Aurelius comment of the night: Joe, if you guys disappear, I'll make a 413 hat. The missing 413. Well done, buddy. Well done.
We should do a thing that says we are the 413 or something. We are the
413. So I don't know, man. I mean, and it's just, so we got that. I got the Shockwave back in my pack, and I'm just going, I'm not prepared for what we're getting ready to run into out here. And I'm trying to not, it's such a weird thing because you don't want to, again, a lot of this activity that we engage with out there, it's threatening. It's not friendly or pleasant, and it's grim sometimes, and it's dark, and it's frightening. But generally, we push through. This is really I can't remember ever feeling such, and I know it sounds like we're over exaggerating it. No, it felt like freaking impending doom that we were just driving into. You know what I'm saying? And I'm literally driving, just going, having these flashes in my mind of going, later on tonight, I'm going to remember the way I felt right now, and I'm going to be cursing myself out for not trusting my gut. Later on tonight, I'm going to regret doing this. And I'm going, what the hell, man? And it was just, but not even like a dark paranormal type thing. It felt like there was it literally felt like something was lying in wait in the woods, just waiting. Nothing should have known, or no one should have known we were on our way.
But it's also starting to get, the more that we do this, that line is not delineated a lot of the time, that the threat from something paranormal, something spiritual, is just as threatening as something physical, you know?
Yeah, so
What the Flock does have an interesting point here. I would also add that Jesse, Carrie, a big pew pew. I carry that 10 milli as well, but still, it didn't matter at that point.
Yeah, and like I said, it was just going. And again, I'm going to preface this by saying, we do this all the time at night in the woods. Hell, you guys see it. That's what we mostly do. And we've been in some tense situations before. Hell, I've drawn my sidearm out in the woods before. You know what I'm saying? We don't usually, Jesse, I put a little clip in it, but we don't show a lot of that because it's kind of cheesy. You don't want to be like running around like you're Rambo.
I think we've got 2, maximum 3 of our releases where you do actually draw down.
But we just don't include a lot of that because it
doesn't happen a lot.
And you don't want to be acting like you're like some sort of like cryptid killing badass out there or something like that, because that's not what we are or what really anybody is. But I guess what I'm saying is that being fairly heavily armed that night was not giving us any comfort driving in, you know. And there's a reason why we're armed the way we are, is we used to carry like a 9mm with us. And then we saw that thing on thermal in the LBL that looked like what could possibly be an upright canid. And as soon as we got back from the LBL, we gunned up. We went up. We literally got back, and we were out at the Palmetto State literally within a couple of days. We got recognized there. Remember that? That was pretty cool. We got recognized
because I bought something.
Yeah. So, but we upgunned after that, and it was just so weird driving in.
Although I will say, after our Seawood Manor visit, we wanted to kind of upgrade to flamethrowers with that.
We might be getting flamethrowers eventually, man. So
F it, we're getting flamethrowers.
So we
barges, flamethrowers,
helicopters. So and then we got a shockwave on top of that. You know what I'm saying? And it was just, I've never felt like that, like we felt Saturday night. I've never felt like that, where we've had things happen where I've gone, things are getting out of control really quickly. You know, we had that thing jump above us in the trees that night, which was weird. And I still say I didn't see it. Pretty damn big and jumped pretty far for like a raccoon, but you never know. But that was intense. Okay, because we had noticed it, and then it happened again, and then it really happened again. So, we've been in like situations that's kind of hairy, and it's been kind of dangerous. We felt that there was a threat there, but I've never felt like an impending one like that before. Like it's this feeling of like foreboding. It was just bizarre. It was just absolutely bizarre, and we had been looking forward to it all day, and then just, we can't go yet. We can't go yet. We've got to wait. We've got to wait. And then once we started to get in there, that anticipation started to just wane. And then it was just anxiety, trepidation. It's just very, very, very threatening. You know what I'm saying? And I've never thought like that before. I've never sat there and gone, in a few hours, I'm going to remember this feeling, and I'm going to be kicking myself for not paying attention to what I'm feeling right now. In a few hours, I'm going to regret not paying attention. And I'm going, hell, that's not like me.
Yeah.
but we both felt it. You know what I'm saying?
We definitely have no regrets for not going in.
No. We did. So we didn't go in. We didn't go in. We
No.
trusted our guts for once and did not go in. And we've been in spots before where we've gone, all right, we got to do this. You know, we got to psych ourselves up and get in there. But that's minor. Nothing to this degree. Nothing to this degree for no visible apparent reason.
But I think we've been doing this long enough that maybe we're getting more accustomed to sensing and feeling out these areas, and when there is a real credible threat to our well-being, you know.
Yeah, this was just
I got a bunch of stuff marked here.
yeah. Let me go through here. But so that kind of drew us to the topic for tonight, is that for us, at least, in doing what we do, we want to experience paranormal and hopefully cryptid activity, document it, and then share it with people to show people that they're not crazy and that these aren't just crazy stories, and there's actually things like this that happen out there.
Mm-hmm.
And show it in greater context than like a 7-second TikTok AI clip that you look at and you just, you know, to document it, to go out there like, you know, like journalists and go out there and try to document what we're experiencing. So we need it to happen. You can't shut it down from the source. You can't go out there with like a lot of like protective measures, spiritual protective measures. You can't even do that. When people will tell us all the time, well, you need to do this, you need to do this. And I go, you're right. If we do some of that stuff, we're not going to experience any of this stuff at all.
So you kind of have to figure out, where do we draw the line?
You have to have a level of vulnerability to you as well.
Yeah.
We don't go visibly armed, because there might be, and I don't know about this, there might be something to the fact that they know what modern firearms are and look like or whatnot. So that's why we've got a shockwave goes in my backpack, you know, 10s in the chest rig, you know, we're heavily armed, but it's not apparent. We're not running around in like plate carriers, you know, with night optic devices on, and then just, you know, just running around looking like we're SEAL Team 6. And
although we ought to try the tactic of, you know, looking like MK does when he goes into the woods. I think that, you know, because we do have a bit of a tactical bent to how we look, but we ought to try the Hawaiian shirt.
Well, no, we're utilitarian. Yeah. We need stuff strapped to us because we
got a lot of stuff to carry.
We got a lot of stuff to carry.
Got a lot of gear to carry.
But it's just weird. So like I'm going, how do you? And I don't know if there's a balance to be struck with the situation we encountered Saturday. And again, I know you can say, oh, your imagination's got the better of you. That'd be the first time that's happened in that degree, but I guess just first time for everything.
If that is what happened, then I'll take the L on that. You know,
I was driving with my left hand, and I literally was like, "What the hell am I doing?" Because I could just because obviously I'm hyper focused, and I guess I was just doing this because it's almost like you could feel like a pressure, like a static in the air that you were pressing up against. Very bizarre. And I'm going, you know, how do you strike a balance with this? I mean, how do you go in with a certain level of vulnerability, but not so vulnerable that if something out there really, really, really means you harm, you got to have like at least a chance. You know what I'm saying? And we've always said a lot of this stuff that's out there, a lot of this stuff, if it wanted you gone, you know, a couple of 10s and a shockwave in my backpack ain't gonna really, you know, if something is really, really, really out there after us. But we're also scanning around with thermal imagers a lot. We're scanning around with night vision a lot. We are aware of our surroundings. So it's not like we're not the goat staked out in Jurassic Park, you know, but at the same token.
And we pretty much stopped doing the experiments where we leave me kind of alone and vulnerable. We were doing that early on in this project. We do have a video where Joe left me in the center of this clearing where we've had really strange experiences before. And those glowing eyes came up behind me while we did that. And that kind of put us into the mindset that we need to not do that, that we don't need to separate out. And I think that was very reckless of us during that expedition for us to do that way, but we didn't know what we were doing. That was very early on in this whole project and what we're doing, that we didn't have the experience behind us to know that we were doing something that was kind of pushing it a little too much. Now, you could say, in terms of the spiritual factor, that the contact experiments, which I am engaging in and going into right now, maybe that is foolish for us to go into that the way we're going into it, especially with a device, with the helmet device,
Yeah.
that this is reckless. But we are trying to put controls on some of this stuff and not be as reckless, because we still need to move forward and continue on with our mission.
Yeah, we normally spend the night. You all don't. We don't include a lot of footage of setting up base. And I'm gonna say right now, when we're out in these like just wilderness areas and there's only the two of us, we don't sleep in tents. We have our vehicle up hidden, and we're sleeping in the back of that, so we have more than just some nylon between us. That too, we're up most of the night. So we sleep in a little bit during the day the next day.
Because the nighttime's the right time.
Nighttime's the right time, baby.
But
now we will, if we're in an area like when we were at the URs, for example, you know what I'm saying? You know, when we went up recently, we had a ton of equipment with us. So we had to get somewhere off site to keep our equipment in. First time we went up there, we only took a couple cameras. We just slept like at one of the campsites. We had a tent, you know. But normally we don't sleep in tents, and normally it's not very apparent. We find somewhere to kind of hide out at, you know what I'm saying? So we try to get somewhere with high ground where we're not really easily visible. And then we're sleeping somewhere that's a little bit more defensible than just a nylon tent. But if we're somewhere that has like a campground, one of the areas that we've gone to in the past, we haven't been there in a while. There's actually a campground a few miles down the road. And we in the past have pitched a tent there and stayed, and then just kind of gone in on foot and then hung out, and then we've got somewhere to go back and sleep a few hours and everything like that. But generally the majority of the time we're sleeping in a vehicle. So
yeah,
I don't trust a tent.
I'm terrified of sleeping in a hammock. I just feel like you're just a tasty little human burrito hanging in a tree.
Tasty little human burrito. So all right, let me see where I got here.
A munchable morsel.
A munchable morsel. So I don't know, man. So we started talking about that, and we started talking about, you know, can you defend yourself against some of this stuff, any of this stuff? I mean, we've all heard the same stories. Dogman shot, Bigfoot shot, blah, 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 blah. Well, obviously there's never been really any real evidence of that, or a lot of the general public wouldn't be naysaying this stuff,
right?
You know? So you can hear the stories, but you have the stories on one hand, and then you have the physical evidence that would have been provided by something like that happening. And I know you can say, well, there was a cover up, everything, and that might be true. I don't know. But if you just look at it down to brass tacks, can you defend yourself against any of this stuff? Can you? Now, one of the things that we've talked about, and the reason why I'm wearing my missing 411 hat tonight, is you've always got
dressed for the occasion.
Dressed for the occasion, baby. But there's the David Paulides rules. And regardless of your feelings on David Paulides, they make sense. Don't go alone. Carry a personal locator beacon. Go armed. Mm-hmm. And we do all of those things. So if firearms are not a deterrent, why would that even factor into any of this? But it has factored into it. Why would it factor into that? Why did a lot of these creatures seem to be so much more open and aggressive before modern technology upped our weapons level a great deal? You know what I'm saying? It just seems
sort of like the, you know, with who's the guy from Blink-182?
Tom
DeLonge. Tom DeLonge mentioned when they were discussing this whole UAP thing and this whole non-human intelligence thing, that maybe we're to the point where we're able to punch back. Maybe it's the same concept.
He was talking about with UAPs, that UAPs were starting to become more, I believe, wary because the government had the ability to punch back some. And I think you see that in like just everyday civilian life with the fact that there's something there, man. There's something that there's a reason why we have not been predated to extinction by these things. And I know I'm not even talking today. I'm talking about back in the day when population density was so much less. I mean, something's stopping it. something stopping there's, and if it's a spiritual thing, maybe that's it. Maybe it's a physical threat. Maybe there's it. But how do you defend yourself against this without just completely, and if it's spiritual, yeah, you can do all the things that people of different spiritual beliefs recommend. Well, then it all goes away, and then we're like a bird watching channel at that point. You know what I'm saying?
Which, what the flock, there's nothing wrong with bird watching.
Hey, what the flock, by the way, absolutely nothing wrong with bird watching.
Nothing at all.
But
you got the caveat. we got the, you don't want the bird lobby coming in here.
Bird law. I don't need to be a victim of bird law. I was already arrested by park rangers this
That
past
sounds like
week.
a fake bird.
Remember the park ranger arrest?
Oh yeah.
If you have not seen it, I posted about it on my Facebook. We had some dude like on our comment section, and he seemed kind of weird at first. But I just figured he was
kind of weird.
I basically figured he was a random weirdo. And then he started talking about how I had been arrested. I guess we both had been arrested. I don't know.
I just like that it came after you. I'm gonna sit back and enjoy it because usually I'm the target of these people's like ire and
I had
anger.
been like arrested by park rangers for taking out. The way I read it was we were carrying out life-size Bigfoot props.
So you're like the carrot top of cryptozoology.
Yes, I am. So to film for our videos, and I'm going, we've never caught a Bigfoot on camera. We're trying, but we've never had a Bigfoot on camera to debate whether it's a hoax or not. We've never got it.
Should have brought a bigger banana.
But I was going, and wait, arrested by park rangers? What the hell?
They got a Bigfoot hoax division.
They got a Bigfoot hoaxing division out there, for God's sakes. But I was making a joke when somebody was, and I just went, I have a very good attorney who got me off on a technicality. You know what I'm saying? Oh, good God. So, but we were talking about Bigfoot hoax law. I digress. But anyway.
This dude was like shirtless.
Oh, no. So then I shared a photo of him because I went to like his YouTube channel going, who the hell is this dude? And he's like this 65-year-old naked man with like a cat mask on of some type.
Listen, you're going to be a 65-year-old naked man one day, okay?
I'm coming up. And I got
sans a cat mask on the internet, though.
Don't speak too soon. But it so how do you do that? Like,
that's like the biggest glass house I've ever seen.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? So it is. I don't know, man. I just don't know. It's something we're really thinking about right now because we can't pull off Blackthorn. There's too much stuff going on there. We have got to go back there. We will go back there, but we've got to figure out. I mean, yeah, we can like start strapping crucifixes on, load the shotguns up with salt, bunch of holy waters. Our buddy Sploot, Way of the Sploot, has sent us some protective, bracelets that we have broken out upon a couple of occasions, but we could do all of that. But in the past, when we've taken protective measures out like that were spiritually based, we didn't get any activity at all.
We've talked about this before, that Joe forgot some holy water in his pack. And we were going out over and over again and nothing was happening. Like nothing was happening. And listen, you don't expect something to happen every time. We go out there all the time and nothing happens. But this was a long, long dry spell. Like a bizarrely quiet, long dry spell. To the point
where we were going.
Should we quit?
We might have to just maybe start doing just a show where we talk, almost like a Monday night show, but start doing just interviews or something like that, because maybe the field investigative days are over with. What do we do next? We're going to different places. We're doing all this stuff and nothing ever happened. And then I found I'd left holy water in my backpack. We talk about this all the time. And I was digging in my backpack and I found it and I went, well, I've got a vial of holy water. I wonder if that's had anything to do. And then we left it in the car. It went in and it was like the floodgates opened up that night. It was bizarre. As soon as the sun started going down, it just got crazy.
So that's actually an argument to say that there is a level of protection that you can bring out.
Yes,
there.
but then
But in order to do what we're doing, you don't want that. But that is a level of protection. That's spiritual protection. And obviously, if whatever this is say that the holy water is warding whatever this is away, that's also going to reduce the
chances of us having anything to record at that point. The whole purpose of this is to answer for ourselves what's out there. I want to know if what I saw as a kid was real or if I dreamed it or if I got hoaxed. Jesse's a lot more open to the existence of that world, but a lot of this is me trying to figure out what's real and what's not real, and then share it with people.
And join me on this journey into
Yeah.
Bizarro land.
And I mean, it's so we're trying to figure out that line to walk right now, where we're not just, again, basically slathering ourselves with butter and staking ourselves out in the field going, come and get me. And we're also not going out there so run around like the Winchesters, you know what I'm saying? You know,
although that would be kind of cool.
well, that would be very cool. But
I'll be the dean.
I'm Dean. You're very much Sam.
Sam.
But it's so that's what we're kind of talking about tonight. Is that possible to do? Is there a way that you could go out there where you're not shutting the activity down before it starts, you're not pushing it away, but you're also not just completely vulnerable to this stuff? Because that's for the first time ever, like this time we're talking about, I felt very vulnerable going in, and I was just kind of racing, like going, we're not equipped right now to deal with whatever's out here is waiting for us.
I mean, it's really important to be able to recognize that. I think that attests to our experience in the field and doing this kind of work, that we can recognize that and know when to withdraw. Miranda Crew, thank you for that. Go with God, and a big pew pew for self-defense. Ventus Bruma.
Saturday was the day before Easter. I wonder if somebody was out in those woods doing something. Maybe that's what you were sensing. We talked about that. I even went, and I have not had a chance to look up for it, but it was between Good Friday and Easter. And I'm going, well, you know, in a lot of darker occult practices will sometimes kind of like key in on mainstream religious holidays and then do things to kind of counter that, to kind of like, you know, like a black mass basically is done. It's a perversion of a normal mass. And I even asked Jesse, I said, is there anything with like some of the occult groups through these areas where that would be a particular time to go out into the woods? We weren't sure. And I keep meaning to sit down and kind of Google it, and I have not Googled it right now. So Google away, let me know. But we talked about that. We talked about the fact that maybe this was like a not quite right human threat that was out there due to the day, due to the significance of the time we were going out. And I don't know if that's the case or not, but I'm right along with you in thinking that.
Suji has a one here.
Go ahead.
Suji says, I'd wear a missing 411 shirt every time I went out in the woods. I mean, what are the odds you end up missing 411 when you disappeared wearing a missing 411 shirt?
Gotta start wearing the hat.
It's like wearing the band shirt to the concert.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
so.
Of course, then it would be funny because when they're describing you as the missing person on TV, and ironically enough, the young woman was actually wearing a missing 411 t-shirt.
Mr. Dog, next time you get that feeling like you need to back out, drop some audio recorders on the way back. We didn't even get out of the vehicle and get in there on foot to do it. We weren't anywhere near our regular destination. We're a few miles away, but still, normally we've done that because we've done that before. We've gotten, when we're on foot traversing through the woods, if we get a weird feeling, we hear a weird sound, and then it never does it again, we'll leave some drop recorders, mark them on the GPS, and then pick them up later. But for this one, we didn't even get into that immediate area. We were going to drive down to where we usually park at and hike in, which is basically just where this dirt road terminates at. And we didn't even get down that far. I found it a wide area on the road, and Jesse went, "You're not going down?" And I'm like, "Nope, not going down tonight."
Yeah.
So, and it's weird too, because we were trying to talk about it. And I even kept asking her, I was like, let's be very careful here. I'm not influencing what you're thinking right now. She goes, no, have been sitting here feeling this way for a while until the topic came up.
And we were super jazzed too.
We were super jazzed to get out there, man, because we had forced ourselves to wait, and we felt really good about going into this one area at night. We felt like we could move around the environment, like we knew where most of the threats were. And we were even talking then, we were going, all right, listen, we've got red light with us. We have some white light we can pop out on an emergency if we need to, just to kind of make sure that some of the barbed wire hasn't been repositioned or anything like that. And it's just looking back, you could tell we were just like chatty Cathy's, like driving around, making plans, like this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. And then we both slowly started to get quiet. And then that feeling, man, that feeling just started up. And it was just, And I stand by what I'm saying. You could just say your mind's running away from you, and I guess you can't prove that one way or the other. But we were collision course is the best description for it. We were going to run into something out there. And maybe it wasn't even something that was lying in wait. Maybe it was something or someone that was just going to be in the same patch of woods as we were. And somehow we knew that we were going to collide right up against them and it wasn't going to be good. Mm-hmm. So
we're cranking along there, Mr. J, if you want to take a look over there. I've got one. Or you can go ahead. That's the one I was going to hit. Yeah. Boy. Jack Hunt says, you said he had holy water in the pack and it worked against you. But what about the bullets that have been blessed? There's no manual for this, by the way.
Yeah, honestly, we've had weird experiences while I've had that with me. Never had a problem with it.
There's no rule book. There's no manual. We don't know we don't understand either.
The holy water, though, I can tell you though that it died down, and then the night I took it out, it picked back up again. So, but I've never seen. No, I mean, we've had weird experiences. What does that mean? What's the rhyme or reason? Or is that logical? I don't think so, but a lot of this isn't logical for me. So, all right. So let's see what the chat's saying about this. Let's see what.
I'm trying to catch up myself, boy.
I will tell you one thing, though. This missing 411 hat hurts my head.
It's certainly not a Hellbent holler.
Not a Hellbent. Hey, we have a few hats left, and if you're wanting a hat, now's the time to get them because we ain't doing hats for a while.
Yeah.
Post office has been. I saw where Goshawk got his patch finally.
The Goshawk's patch had to take a little tour before.
Goshawk's patch went on a world tour. So, all right.
Silence.
And now I'm just seeing here. I'm just kind of going through to find.
I got some start if you want
to
hit
start.
That, my man.
Let's see what we got here. Talking about Martin Grove's experience years ago sways me to include certain spiritual or religious defense.
That's where we got the blessed bullets.
That's where we got the blessed bullets from. Martin Groves gave us several hundred rounds of special 10mm ammunition. And it is, here's a good one. They definitely seem to be attracted and want Jesse for one reason or another. Definitely safety in numbers. We even talked about this, is that I felt a great deal of threat myself. Don't get me wrong. You know what I'm saying? But I felt like I was making a huge mistake taking Jesse in there that night. That might have just been a general feeling. That might have been specific for some.
Now, he's had that feeling before, but that's just when going out somewhere.
Yeah. So it is, I felt like I was taking her into a bad situation, like into a really bad situation. And I don't know if that's maybe because the threat was more geared towards her. And again, I'm usually not that perceptive. I don't have a lot of depth. But usually with some stuff like this, I got a pretty good sixth sense as far as that goes, but this was heavy. I usually not to this degree. So Kaiju Ninja, do you feel like you've been hit with infrasound? Well, infrasound doesn't do that. So I will refer you back to our infrasound dark dive. Was it a dark dive we did on infrasound?
You might, I don't know. You've done a lot of rants.
Yeah.
I know there's certainly a plethora of rants out there.
Yeah, it's infrasound doesn't do that. Infrasound doesn't. If infrasound was doing that, you'd have infrasound that was being used in a way that the animal kingdom, mankind, nature, the environment, nothing uses infrasound like that. The infrasound thing is something that somebody heard an offhand comment that a bioacoustician made when they were dealing with tigers. And because people need to find commonplace, real world explanations for some of the out of this world activity that takes place, people latched onto infrasound. And now infrasound is like the catch-all of the paranormal.
Yeah.
It's anything weird happens, it's infrasound. Equipment malfunction, it's infrasound.
A little gassy.
Infrasound. So yeah, I don't think it was infrasound. How we could be feeling something, and I'm telling you, man, I mean, it was just that's very out of character for me. I'm driving, and then I'm like, And I just all of a sudden went, the hell am I doing with my hand? It's like I can, and I don't know how long I had it up there because Jesse's just staring out the window. Very weird, man. Very weird. So.
What time is it? Oh, old Henry. It's knife check time.
Knife check time.
Joseph?
I got a ZT 0300 and Tiger Stripe.
Wow, that's a very handsome knife, Joe.
That is a very handsome knife. I've had it for a while. They're discontinued. I got one several years ago and still.
Turns out I also have a ZT Tiger Stripe knife. That's my 0350 right there, kids. Oh, yeah. And we have similar little, look how nubby
You got a little nubby tassel.
My tassel is.
Yeah.
You got such a man tassel there. We
Girthy.
both got ZT Tiger Stripes right there. Didn't I have another one of these and it met an untimely end?
Now we got it fixed. You still got it somewhere. So
now I've got this one. But yeah, met an untimely end, but this one is complete. This was a knife that I carried a lot. I carried this for years and years and years, but it is it's a solid one, zero tolerance.
Just curious, have y'all been back since that experience? No, that just happened this weekend. We came out. We didn't go back in that night. We'll see if when we go back in, we have a repeat of that. And maybe the time of the year, maybe the significance of the time of the year had something to do with it. You know, again, between Good Friday and Easter, maybe it was just we were going at the wrong place at the wrong time. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe we'll go out there and we'll have a similar. I will say this though, that if we go out again into the same area and have the same feeling, we're going to have to go in.
We'll have to,
because
I think we should probably be a little more prepared just in case that happens.
But just because at that point you've got to, we're going to have to go. All right. For some reason, is our nerve cracking?
Right. Is
there something subconsciously that's making us like kind of jump at shadows out here? I don't think that's the case because it was palpable. It was crazy, but I don't know. Again, you're dealing with something that's not tangible. It's hard to quantify a feeling or intuition like that. So
what makes me really nervous too is you mentioned the occult factor. Sorry. Oh, the cult got me. No.
Yeah.
You mentioned the occult factor, because of the day that it was. After everything we've experienced with these cults and digging into these cults, that has me more nervous than anything else,
And, obviously Easter's a Christian holiday, but there are some traditions that are rooted in pagan ritual. I ain't really worried about running into modern pagans. A lot of those people are, and I don't want to get into like a religious debate on this, but we're not really worried about running into like modern pagans in the woods.
I might be dying right now.
Jesse's dying. She's done.
I'm trying to cough into the microphone.
But,
sorry. All right. I'm doing it. I'm living.
It's the darker occult practices that we worry about. And
some of that stuff that we've encountered in North Georgia specifically, I'm not really interested in encountering that kind of stuff in Blackthorn because it's a much more dangerous area.
So I don't know, but I mean, we're going to have to try to figure out a way to approach this because there's too much stuff going on out there for us to move away from you, or to move away from it. It's just, sorry, I read the word you. I was reading Cowboy. Gave you the Aaron from Ghost Adventures treatment. He baggaged you. I guess you're talking about when I left you out in that field with no.
Let's just hope you don't get the Aaron's wife's treatment.
Yeah, no doubt, man. So anyway. So I don't know. I don't know. We're kind of at an impasse here at this point. We're gonna have to go back. We'll go back a little better physically prepared, even though we're usually pretty damn physically prepared. But spiritually, we can't really gun up spiritually like that because that'll push everything back away at least. Yeah. Or it has the potential to do that. And I guess that's the thing is where you have to kind of.
You know what? I just had a crazy idea.
What's that?
This is nuts.
Mm-hmm.
What about some sort of spiritual defense emergency kit that we hide?
Break glass, like those old vampire hunter kits?
But we hide it somewhere in the woods. That way we're out there. It's like, we need this emergency spiritual warfare kit. We know where to go grab it. We don't have it on us, so we're free and clear. but we know where it's at. So in case of emergency, we beeline for the emergency spiritual warfare kit.
But is that
crazy?
But here's the deal: is that I know that things latch
Like a weapons cache in the woods.
but I know that things latch onto you, and I know that things can latch onto you and do subtle kind of harm, like cause bad luck and things like that. I mean, we have these weird periods of like inexplicable bad luck that will sometimes hit us after certain areas we go to. But I mean, it's either physical or it's not, you know. And if it's physical,
if it bleeds, you can kill it.
I mean, it's just it's if it's not physical, then it seems like you could just kind of, I don't know, leave that stuff in the car and kind of do whatever. And we've even talked about doing that. It's just that we got so like shocked by having a vial of holy water and the effect that it apparently had.
Yeah.
We don't take that.
But that was such an important data point, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's something.
I'm glad that it happened.
Still shocked. It still shocks me to this day that something like that happens.
Yeah.
Man. But it's just that it's. Somebody said tried to watch our last video, but the sound was messed up. Sound wasn't messed up.
Yeah, not to my knowledge.
Nope, sound was not messed up. Pauline, maybe give it another shot.
My last release, the one from last Tuesday, I've had 25,000 people watch it, and nobody's told me that the sound was messed up. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is here. I mean, and here's the deal too: is that what parts of folklore are hitting right and what are just like a lot of, and I've always said, I think superstitions that people have, that's the things that our ancestors passed down to us on how to deal with a lot of this stuff. Yes. You know, I think there's some that once you come to the realization that a lot of this stuff is real and it seems like it's the same stuff that a lot of our ancestors interacted with, well, by God, some of the stuff that they've told us, I mean, the holy water thing seems like it carried weight. What else carries weight? There's lessons to be learned from all of this.
Yeah, you know, I mean, like there's all sorts of like various defenses against miscellaneous like paranormal activity. You know, red thread with the fae. You know, moving water, copper, silver, cold iron. You know, rowan and ash. There's like all sorts of like just different types of protection, but be quite honest with you, if you get into the situation where you need it, that's not really a time for trial and error. Right. You know, you kind of need to know what you kind of need before you get into the situation of needing it at that point.
You want to be loaded for bear before you go into bear country.
Exactly right. So
Rick Skinner, thank you, sir, for the rant.
Thank you, Rick.
A special soapbox. That'd be an Irish Spring for Joe Doyle.
Anyway. All right, let me kind of jump on down here and try not to have this. I'm trying to not have any like dead air right now while we get along on this. We don't really do anything with Facebook. We share like show links and stuff like that. I made 2 non-channel related posts in the past couple of weeks, and that's extremely rare for me. So
I post pictures on Instagram and push them to Facebook as well.
And
yeah, I'm trying to catch up too.
Trying to catch up. I mean, today, you guys are going like.
Oh, make sure you guys hit that like button.
Or don't. I don't care. Hit the like button.
Shut up and just read the chat. just do your job here. Rant, read chat, not commentary about the likes.
All right, but it's. I don't know. And like I said, this is a topic where it's not even like hypothetical for us right now, because we've got to go back out there. And we've got to go into that area. There's a reason why we picked that area to map out. The most interesting stuff is going on there. Mm-hmm. And it has been frightening.
That we know of so far. We have not explored the rest of the place. There are peninsulas out there. So this is a series of peninsulas near this pretty much untouched body of water. There's whole peninsulas that are thousands of acres that we haven't even explored yet. And we don't think people have been on. in many
moons.
years.
But but we've got to go back out to this area, and we're just kind of going, all right. I mean, we obviously we're willing to take a great deal of risk, but ideally like to get out of the woods in one piece. That'd be nice, but if it comes down to the point where, I mean, the whole reason we're going out there is try to document this stuff. So whatever we do, we can't completely eliminate what we're trying to document. That's like trying to be like a lion tamer, and OSHA comes in and tells you got to get rid of all the lions. You know what I'm saying? They're too dangerous. Well, you're not a lion tamer anymore, man. You might as well, go work at Wendy's, something like that. So.
And you're the burger tamer, which I'm all about. That sounds great.
Surviving the Strange says there have been those stories like the couple that stumbled across Bundy and didn't know it. He was in the bushes with a body, and they both just had an overwhelming feeling of evil. Oof. And we felt creeped out, and I'm sure you've included this in some of the videos, because I've been in places before and I've gone, this ain't a good place. This is a bad place. This is a bad place. You can feel it. There was such a world of difference between feeling that and feeling like the next curve you turn around is going to be your last.
I think the difference is perhaps a residual feeling of evil versus a current going on of evil, that something was actively happening or something was actively there. AstroSpy001 says, you guys are like astronauts. You know the risk, you accept it, then you go fly.
Well, and here's the deal is that it's dangerous. And just doing what we do, run around the woods like this in some of these areas is dangerous. Even if you take out all of the weird stuff, then you add in the human element, that goes up a bit. But it's
your partner could have a psychological break at any point
at any time and just throw me down a well in there. So
could happen at any time,
any moment, any absolute moment it'll happen. So
just out of nowhere, no warning at all. Just
one day for no apparent reason, she just snaps.
It happens with astronauts too. It's the space madness, but mine's the forest madness.
But there is, I don't know. I just don't know. Like I said, we're trying to figure it out. And if we are going to go back out there, we're going to have to try to figure out a happy medium where we're not because again, if we go out there this next time and it feels like this, we're just going to have to push into it.
Yeah.
Because at that point, the curiosity is going to get the best of us, if nothing else. The curiosity is going to overweigh.
But I think we'll be more mentally and physically prepared for what we face at that point.
Matt C, do you guys follow any or many other cryptid channels? We don't really follow a lot. We follow, we'll watch like a couple, you know what I'm saying? So it's weird.
That was a good non-answer.
Well, no, I'm trying to think of a nice way to say all this. Not a lot, but a few of the people who are like hardcore into this and that are really out like looking at it are starting to all kind of coalesce together.
Yeah.
Like we, Small Town Monsters, I was talking to Alex Petikoff just a couple days ago. Our buddies Joe and Ron, Wild Weird West Virginia. I was chatting with Miguel from Sasquatch Theory and the Half Inch Wrench Crew guys a few days ago. So I guess about a week or so ago now at this point. And like a few of them and everything like that. It's weird because a lot of this is kind of a hot thing right now, going out in the woods, looking for spooky stuff, So some of us are more real than the others. And a lot of us that are actually do it, like kind of are starting to really kind of communicate a lot more, change some equipment ideas, kind of bounce stuff off each other. It's good to talk to people that do this stuff, And
I want to plan some crossovers.
Yeah, we've got some stuff planned in the future because we thought it'd be pretty cool. Because we had a blast getting out with Alex because Alex is geared up. Alex can move through the woods at night on foot.
I remember looking at Joe and going, God, it was so nice to go out in the woods with somebody that you're not like worried that they're going to shoot you in the back of the head or that they hurt themselves or not be able to keep up with you. That you have to help them along the way. You just have to, you can just cruise and just go and do the work, and you don't have to worry about who you're out there with. MK Ultra, dear sweet MK Ultra. 1 year from now, the knife check will include the Spear of Destiny.
So, So I don't know, man. We're gonna see if it's something that comes up. It might have been. Now here's the deal: is if we go out next time and we don't get that feeling, you know where we're gonna be at the Saturday before Easter next year. We're gonna be right back in that spot to see if we feel it again. You know, see if we feel whatever's out there at this point.
Now they're all going to descend upon
Because
us.
when you guys mentioned it earlier about there maybe possibly being some like occult activity out there, we thought of that, and that was the main reason we were going to drive down to the area where we usually park at, where the road terminates at.
Oh, Jesus
But I couldn't even get
Christ.
that far. What is this?
Ah,
What is this?
William Kennedy. Just wait till you find pre-dug graves.
Jesus Lord, William Kennedy.
Thanks,
Good
William.
job. Ah, William Kennedy.
Truly the shining star of our channel.
Yes, indeed. It brings a little je ne sais quoi to it. Let's see what else we get here.
You know what? We're going to take a diversion real quick. Not today's statement says, hey, Joe, remember my rant about the woo-woo distracting from the cause? They slipped it in on page 10, but DARPA created a warp bubble. Look it up.
Ah,
Hey, when they slip it in.
DARPA warp bubble. Here we go. Ventus Bruma. Are you going out in the day to see if you can find any signs that there were any rituals or oddness in the area? Yes. Yeah, we've got something planned for that to do, to see if we can try to find, see if there was any sort. We were in one area trying to find remnants of an old plantation, and we couldn't find it because, again, the maps that you can find are not right. They're not accurate. And some of the areas there don't really have anything beyond like a typical like Google topographical map. And even there, the distances are not right.
So you got to rely on me to find those plantations.
So we found this one area where we were finding like bones like under trees, like right at the base of trees. And we found, but when the third one we found, Jesse was just like, this is ritualistic.
Yeah.
There's something going on here. This is ritualistic. One of them looked like it had paint on it. And Jesse's like, this is ritualistic. And I'm going, this is a crazy place to get ritualistic because like the hike in here was like rough, man, you know? And I mean, we were like 8 miles in at that point, you know, trying to find this thing. And it was a weird place to do stuff like that. But I guess you would go there if you wanted complete
Privacy.
privacy. So we're going to go back in and check that area and then check really around the area we were going to see if that was going on. But here's the deal. We know they're doing that sort of stuff in North Georgia. We know that they're doing that sort of stuff in North Georgia.
You're going to have
We've
to.
never felt
What
that
the
in North
Flock
Georgia.
says, speaking of curiosity, how is Mr. Thomas? Mr. Thomas is knocking at the door. It is, you know, it's that time. Come on. All right. You know he's going to come up here.
I'm going to do a live stream one night, and I'm just going to have the camera on him and just run it for like 12 hours.
He's the third host. We brought him on.
What's up, Ed McMahon?
All right. Our resident cryptid. All right. He's here. Nobody worry. Everybody's here.
And for those of you who've never seen it before, grab his little paw. The reason why we call him resident cryptid is he's polydactyl.
He's got hands like a person.
He's a crime against
Wait,
nature.
he's not a sideshow. He's my child.
He's a crime against nature.
Carry on.
Carry on. So I'm going to go down here to the bottom of the chat. I'm sure I'm going to miss some good stuff, but it's just we
got a great chat tonight. I know you guys are just kicking it tonight. This is
so
awesome.
I'm going down right now. Good Lord. So
Here, sit up here for a second.
I love Sasquatch theory. Yeah, Miguel we had not really talked to, obviously we've got like a really good relationship with the Small Town Monsters crew, and Joe and Ron are like goofy brothers to us, you know what I'm saying? We love Joe and Ron. But Miguel and like the Half Inch Wrench guys, we hadn't really talked to him that much, and we opened some communication up this couple of weeks ago over some stuff, and they both commented on our stuff before and everything like that. So yeah, they're really, really good guys. And what's cool is that all of us are kind of like hardcore into this, and all of us have our own particular things we've kind of focused on. So it's cool talking to people that like do this to that degree, you know, and everybody kind of branches off and goes like their own way independently. And then you can kind of see where, well, they got to the same place we did, but this is how they got there, or this is what they did to kind of like address this particular, you know, thing we want to get done. So, you know, like the Happens Wrench Crew guys do like thermal drone stuff, but you know, again, they ran
and they
into,
have really cool mobile units, you know.
But the thermal drone, they're talking the same thing that I've talked about, that it's difficult to use it in like tree cover and stuff like that. So, but damn, it's an awesome toy. So anyway, I'm here. So I'm going to start going down the chat. Let me see what you guys have as far as.
Oh, I've got one here. What do you think about Les Stroud? We love Les Stroud. He really revolutionized the way that you presented Bigfoot on a television network. The way that he presented it was very thoughtful, in depth. He went to the locations where people have had experiences, where there were legends of these things, and he went there and dug into it in a real sincere way. It wasn't sensationalized, it wasn't goofy, it wasn't a sideshow. And I think that Les Stroud is part of the reason that we do this channel that we started this channel to begin with.
Because again, I've been involved in like Bigfoot stuff for decades at this point, and I've always been honest. I had that sighting of something as a kid. I don't know whether it was real. I don't know if I dreamed it. I don't know if somebody helped me, but that's what planted the seed. I never really had a lot of luck until I moved back up here with Jesse and like experiencing anything weird in the woods.
Oh, I almost got bit.
Getting bit over here. But it, and to be honest with you, at least the way I approach stuff and my mindset with a lot of this stuff, I never saw a great deal of value with the way that the greater Bigfoot community went about doing this stuff. I just didn't, you know. Yes, if the whole goal is to cast dubious footprints, then we're going down the right path, okay? If the whole goal is to LARP in the woods with your buddies, we're going down the right path, you know what I'm saying? But it was very hard for somebody who was extremely interested in it, but wasn't 100% positive that it was real like I was, and wanted to approach it as logically as possible while still being open to the fact that we don't know everything.
Yeah.
So when Les Stroud started doing that series, it's awesome. It's probably the best thing that's ever been done.
Yeah.
As far as Bigfooting goes, because he goes in truly open-minded, truly on the fence, and is just the fact too that he's going out, he is filming it himself, small groups like we like to do. I'm a firm believer in this. The most laughable thing I see on YouTube is when you have people in the comment section going, "You just need to put on a ghillie suit and go out and sit quietly in the woods.
300 trail cams.
They will come to you, you know."
Cook
and
the
I'm just
bacon.
going, no, they won't. They won't, because everybody's tried that. And it was, not only did it not work, but it was boring as hell too. It just doesn't work. If that was the silver bullet, then we would have proof by now. You have to go out there and you don't have a phenomenon or an entity that's managed to evade detection forever and have it be fooled by something by wearing a Temu ghillie suit and just sitting in the woods quietly. It's going to smell you, you know, it's going to hear you breathing. Hell, it might be able to see your body heat, even though that's like scientifically impossible.
We just don't know.
So you have to either hope that it messes up, in which case it don't matter whether you're making noise or not, or make it curious, okay? Make it curious. I love how people go, on one hand, they go, oh, we're like TV for these things. They hang out and watch us at campsites because they like watching us doing stuff and talking with one another and interacting. But then why wouldn't that obviously draws them in. Use that to your advantage. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we go out and we just talk normally. You've seen it that we just talk normally. And I'm going to say right now, we've had a pretty good track record of like engaging weird stuff.
I'll tell you this right now. we were actually out with MK, and we were sitting around, and we were, Joe was working on something, and MK and I are having a very intense conversation about Demolition Man. We're sitting there having a very intense discussion about Demolition Man, which is the greatest movie of all time. We're into this conversation, and then all of a sudden, in the background, I've completely forgotten. Bigfoot has left the brain. We're on Demolition now, and in the background, all of a sudden, you hear this howl, this insane howl, and we had gotten nothing, no real activity all night, nothing crazy all night, and then it's when we kind of loosened up and did that yes, something happened. When Joe and I go out into the woods, it's the same thing. We'll have conversations while we're out there, and things will happen. We act normal when we go out there, and things will occur.
And we have normal reactions to weird stuff happening because we're not in a campground with 50 other people and we're hearing coyotes 2 hills over, and we're trying to psych each other up that we're hearing something out of the ordinary. There's 2 of us out alone at night on foot, miles from the vehicle. From the vehicle, it's miles on little roads till you get back to civilization. And at the end of the day, we love this stuff. We get excited when it happens. And I don't want to kill that excitement. I want to be excited when I hear and see weird stuff. It's terrifying sometimes. At the end of the day, it's exciting as hell. And I don't want to lose that. And quite honestly, I think that feeds into it a bit, and it makes it an interactive experience, because whatever's out there, I think sometimes drops little breadcrumbs for us just so it can see how we react to it. I think there
also, you notice when we give up, it's like something out there knows when we're ready to give up, and it just gives you a little teaser right there.
Teasers,
brings you right back.
All right.
We're going to wrap it up.
Wrapping it up here. I'm going to go down and catch up on the chat.
Joe's going to catch up on the chat. If you guys, I'm at the end here, so if you guys have anything else important.
So listen, leave and this isn't a cheesy, leave a comment, like, share, and subscribe. If you have an idea of some of this stuff or just a thought,
share it with us.
Share it. Put it in the comment. Put it in the comment section.
I did a poll. Did we check the poll?
I did not check the poll.
Let's check the poll. Let's check the poll. So I did a poll earlier, asking if you think that it is even possible to defend yourself physically or psychically from a paranormal entity. What does the poll say, mister? Did you get off of your task that quickly?
I got off the task that quickly.
I'll check the poll. Oh. Do make sure that you hit that like, share, and subscribe. I know that we're saying don't do that. Definitely do that. But definitely, if you have a comment about this, if you have a thought about this, put it in the comments below. I know that some people are not going to watch.
89% saying yes.
89%.
And we have
yes.
We have a few hundred people.
Interesting.
Put it in there. So
I agree with that.
So let us know, because it's going to be. I'll tell you where we're going to right now. We're going back out in that area, and we are going a little bit better physically protected. I'm going to leave it at that, even though I don't think our physical protection lacks in most situations. And we're going to see what we feel when we go back out there. And if we go back out there and we don't feel that oppressive, overwhelming threat, I'm going out there next year, the night before Easter, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To see if maybe the time of the year and the significance of that date has something to do with what we're experiencing out there. So, all right. So let me see what else we got here. People are talking about the cat and Les Stroud. Maybe Les Stroud and the cat need like a show together.
I think Les Stroud's a cat guy. I think he's a cat guy as well.
Probably is a cat guy. So.
Somebody mentioned that cats kind of ward off evil. Cats are evil. We know. We have a couple of them. Maybe that's why the evil knows it can't really fight a force stronger than it. You know, the demons can't come in the house.
Good Lord. So, all right. I'm down to Bear Grylls drinking his own pee.
Yeah. All right, my friends. Unless Joe finds one that strikes his fancy.
Don't mess around with Demolition Man. Yep.
Yeah.
So, and now they're making 3 C-cells jokes. Anyway.
That's my favorite movie. Yeah, make sure you do hit that like button on your way out.
This is,
What we got?
write this down. Sasquatch Chronicles episode 1145. Is there that many episodes of Sasquatch Chronicles?
There's probably 5,000 episodes.
Sasquatch Chronicles episode 1145. That's a situation where people were frightened off their camp.
Yep.
One of them left their phone.
Got
the
it.
phone sounds were dropped recording by the tree. Interesting.
Very interesting. I would like to compare that. That sounds very, very cool.
Anyway, so what's coming up?
Steven Tichenal's on your team, Joe. Sorry to disagree with you, Jesse, but the greatest movie of all time is The Omega Man. That's Joe's camp. I'll let you guys be in that camp. That's fine. Different strokes, different folks.
All right. Turdog asked if we used our lightweight gear setup yet. We have experimented with it, but we always tinker and we're always trying to improve the tech. So we've got another version that we're taking. The reason why we had to do it is carrying like all this equipment when we were in the UREs with like MK and some of the ultralight hiking guys.
We did not realize what a challenge it would
smoked
present.
us, man.
Yeah.
We hadn't slept hardly in like 2 days and trying to go. And I was just going, and again, that's what I talked about when I say smoke me. MK's literally hiking next to me, smoking a
Like
cigarette,
literally smoking.
trying to give me like, you know, you got it, man. You got this. I'm just like, I freaking low-key hate you right now. I'm dying and you're just dancing around me smoking a cigarette. So we were like, all right, we've got to in certain situations strip down a lot of the gear. We try to go for
Simplify.
cover every base, but at this point, so we've got another little thing that we're tinkering with for it. It's going to limit.
Also, we had strange weather pop up while we were out there last time.
Yeah,
We've
so
got to be prepared for it.
It's going to limit us to a certain extent in certain things. Our audio reach is not going to be as great as it is with the full setup. We're not going to have quite the night. We're not going to have night vision. We're going to have low light capabilities. So, but it's going to be pretty cool, man. So anyway, all right, folks, we're wrapping it up.
All right, guys. We appreciate you watching the live show as usual. We will catch you guys next time. And I've got the third video probably coming out next week. That's what we're aiming at right now for the Blackthorn Lake series. If you haven't checked out the second video in that series, please check that out. I released it on Tuesday night last week, and it sets us up for we dropped. No, it dropped.
It dropped?
We're okay now.
No, we're losing it.
Losing it. Weird. All right, guys. I guess
our signal's dropping, so we're gonna call it a night.
That's
weird.
Kathy Smith says, dang, I can't find the first video. I do have a Blackthorn Lake series playlist on the channel where you can find the 2 videos that are out so far, and I'll continue to add subsequent videos to that playlist. I don't know why it's messing up. Something's up. Okay. Well, that's our cue, I guess.
Yeah, we're done for the night.
All right, guys, make sure you hit that like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about the show, because that's how we grow. I want to thank you all for joining us tonight, and stay tuned for updates, some weird stuff coming out. And we love you. You're awesome. Have a good day. We're going to go eat some dinner. Take care of yourselves. And take care of each other. Good night, y'all.